Awaken and rise up. The dead depart this earth not as dead people, but they leave it as if they were alive. The link is unloosed. The knot is untied. I cross this portal. I have thrown to the ground all evil which is on me. They go towards Osiris. Their faces find a new life and strength. This is from the book of Coming Forth by Day. Isis and Horus are speaking. The awakening. One of the things that we have lost a feel for is the power of mythology, the power of the myth. Our ancient people in Africa, for thousands and thousands of years, contemplated the vastness of a universe that actually transcended description. They contemplated a reality. They contemplated a greatness and an awesome reality of God and nature that was beyond the ability to grasp and describe in words. The brilliance of those people pursued science as far as it could take them. And then they found that science ran out. They took theology and philosophy as far as it could take them. And they found out that logic, theology, and all of the other logics ran out. So they said, well, if we can't put it into reality, let's see if our descriptions can transcend reality. Because they found that time and logic occupied space and time. And what they were trying to describe transcended time and space. So they had to go beyond what was mere description. Though the description alluded to the vastness, though the science pointed to the infinite, they were unable to be totally descriptive of this transcendent reality that was known as the infinite. So what did they do? They decided to reach beyond the describable and come forth with mythology. Now, what is mythology? Now, we've been taught that mythology has to do with Paul Bunyan and Rumpelstiltskin and Sleeping Beauty and all these other kinds of little fairy tales. Well, they are fairy tales. The strong, powerful tales are the mythology, the mythological tales. Myth is talking about the reality that is too big to fit into time and space. Myth is the way to talk about the transcendent reality that transcends time and space and is able to be precise in its descriptions. Now, if this is the case, then, one of the things that we should begin to try to look at in terms of trying to rediscover who we are and to awaken the other eye. By the way, the two eyes see the physical, the third eye sees the mythological. And to be able to awaken the third eye, then it becomes necessary to rediscover the power of the myth. Now, I don't have time to do all of this because it would take years and years and years, and I don't understand it anyway. But I'm going to simply touch on something of what our ancient ancestors told us and teach us. You know, it's very interesting because the ones who preceded us understood that their responsibility was not to today alone, that day alone. They understood that their responsibility was to eons yet not born. They understood that the message of truth which they pursued was not a message for that time in that place, but had to be a message for all time and all place. So therefore, what they laid down in the models and the symbols and the structures that they left were communications that transcend time and space, that were true of that time, true of the time that preceded that time, and true of time yet to be born that was beyond time. And if it was true then, true before then, true after then, and will always be true. So all we need to do if we want to understand truth is to go back and to pick up the codes that they left us and see if we can understand what's going on. They tell us that Osiris was of divine origin. He came out of heaven and dwelt among men. They tell us that Osiris was one who taught civilization and cultivation, how to go about bringing life out of the earth. They tell us that Osiris was the teacher of worship of the god. The one who taught, you see, the worship of the god for our people was a recognition of the netters. Netters does not mean gods. Netters means the forces of nature. So Osiris taught science and religion because there was no distinction between science and religion. And therefore, since he understood both the mundane and the celestial, he was able to bring both worlds together. And so therefore, he was of heaven and of earth. He was man conceived in woman, born of God. So therefore, Osiris then, they tell us, was of divine origin. But because of a world that had been set up on some principles that we still don't understand, he had a brother whose name was Set, who Brother Quasey told us about and gave us pictures of earlier. And Set, who later became Satan or Shaitan, depending on your language preference, began to pursue, or Abel and Cain, whichever one story you want to use, they're all the same story. They went and somehow decided that they were going to somehow attack this scientific truth bringer called Osiris, and Set set out to slay him and mutilate him. Because Set represented the personification of evil, destructiveness, that which ate away at order, ate away at strength, ate away at power, ate away at truth. It was the natural opposing force to truth. And so that's what Osiris had to contend with. But the only way that you can ever get to truth and destroy it is by way of deception. So the story tells us that Osiris was tricked into his destruction. Now, Set had a party, called together his 72 co-conspirators, built a chest that was perfect to fit the size of Osiris, and after everyone at the party had tried themselves out in the chest, then Osiris was the last to try himself out in the chest. When he got in the chest being made for him was a perfect fit, and the co-conspirators closed the chest, sealed him in it, threw it into the river, and the river took the chest out to the sea. Now, the chest moving out to the sea, we are told, was eventually consumed by a mighty tree that encircled the chest and grew up around the chest. And the tree was such a beautiful tree that a king in a strange land took the tree to his castle and built his castle around the tree that contained the chest of Osiris. But then there was Isis, the spirit of truth, the one who comes with diligence, perseverance, determination. Isis representing the totally continuous resilience of human nature. Isis coming as a symbol of the rebirth of nature. Isis coming as one who is able to carry on the continuity of that which has been set into operation by the Creator himself. And Isis goes in search of Osiris. And we're told that she finds the body. The story goes on and on and on. We can't go into all of it. But we're told that she finds the body and she takes the chest. But evil always